When a bucket hits a warehouse floor to catch a leak, it's easy to look up and assume you found the problem. But in commercial roofing, that visible drip is a terrible liar. The reality is, water almost never enters right above where it exits. It usually exploits a single, remote weak point somewhere on the exterior surface. This cross-section of a flat commercial roof shows what happens next. Once water penetrates that surface layer, it rarely drops straight down. Instead, it travels horizontally beneath the outer membrane, spreading silently through the hidden insulation layers. Eventually, the insulation saturates to the point of failure. The water breaches the bottom structural deck and finally drips into the interior space, often dozens of feet away from the original puncture. Because of this lateral movement, repeatedly patching the roof directly above an interior ceiling stain rarely stops the leak. The true entry point remains wide open, and the surrounding insulation stays soaked. This leads to the expensive cycle of blind patching. Roofers might seal an obvious surface defect, but without knowing the true path of the water, they leave trapped moisture festering beneath the membrane. That trapped moisture does heavy damage over time. Wet insulation loses its thermal resistance, driving up building energy bills, while the constant dampness causes the underlying structural deck to rust and rot. Property owners are then squeezed between two bad options. They either continue bleeding money on a series of useless patches, or they panic and sign a massive check for a complete roof tear-off that they might not actually need. The real financial drain of a commercial roof leak is uncertainty. Making a six-figure repair decision based on guesswork rather than hard structural evidence is how maintenance budgets get destroyed. To break that cycle, we have to look beneath the roof membrane without tearing it apart. This is why commercial roofers rely on infrared scanning. It is important to understand that infrared cameras do not actually see water. What they detect are specific temperature differences across the roof's surface. During a sunny day, the entire roof assembly absorbs solar heat uniformly. But after sunset, the physics change. As the roof cools, dry insulation loses heat quickly. Wet insulation, with higher thermal mass, holds absorbed energy and radiates heat longer. Through the lens of a thermal camera, these warm spots appear as glowing anomalies against the cool background. By reading these patterns, we can map the exact forensic footprint of the hidden moisture. On commercial buildings, these thermal anomalies tend to cluster around specific architectural weak points, like HVAC curbs, along parapet walls, and low-lying roof drains. But capturing these thermal irregularities is only the first step, because heavy ballast rock or multiple roof layers can create confusing heat signatures. The raw data requires expert interpretation to become actionable. This top-down architectural layout demonstrates how that translation works. We take the raw, glowing thermal blobs and convert them into a defined moisture map, organizing the exact locations of the suspected water threats into a precise visual blueprint. Once the zones are mapped, roofing professionals perform physical verification. They take targeted core samples, which are small cylindrical cutouts of the roof, at the exact mapped points to confirm the insulation beneath is saturated. This verification confirms the scope of the damage. The moisture map transitions the diagnostic process from identifying abstract thermal physics to finalizing a highly specific, evidence-based repair plan. This moisture map clarifies the financial value. It highlights a 15% red area needing urgent repair, proving the remaining 85% is dry with a long serviceable life. This translates to a chart comparing costs, justifying targeted repair over an expensive, unnecessary tear-off. This level of targeted mapping is especially critical before applying a new roof coating. If a sealant is sprayed over unmapped wet insulation, that moisture gets permanently trapped inside the assembly, causing premature failure. Beyond directing repairs, the combination of thermal images and a plotted moisture map creates an undeniable visual record, providing the concrete documentation necessary to support commercial insurance claims. Armed with this data, property owners can stop paying for surface-level symptoms and finally cure the roof's underlying disease. If your commercial building suffers from recurring interior leaks, do not pay for another blind patch. Before you make your next major roofing investment, demand structural evidence. Contact Commercial Roofing Long Beach today to schedule a professional infrared leak investigation and discover exactly